Hey, everybody, I'm Matt Valley. Welcome to the Rock and Roll Research Podcast, where we share the super cool backstories and side gigs of the insights and analytics pros that you trust. Today's guest is my friend Pam Everett, who's had a very interesting journey through her professional life from product development to marketing, strategy, innovation, and consumer insights at great companies like Grupo Bimbo, Electrolux, Westrock Coffee, Husqvarna. Now that is a diverse base of industries, so she's
It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
impressive. Cool. Now you may have seen her because she spoke at Quirk's New York City this year as well at the Javits Center.
Yep.
So super cool. Now, what's super fun about Pam is that she is a really avid concert goer and a self-described venue file,
Yes.
which is neat. And she's a super fan of this artist called Jason Isbell. And we're going to have a lot of fun talking about all that today
Oh,
on the podcast.
and it's so great to be here, Matt. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that our paths have crossed. I hate that we missed each other in New York a couple weeks ago, but happy to see you in person today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me tell you, Pam, the pleasure is all mine. And I also want to thank our mutual friend, Bill Salukar,
Thanks,
for
Bill.
super cool. So before we get started, I do want to say a couple words about our sponsor, Insight Sutras, who is a leading offshoring partner when it comes to research operations and analytics. They can do it all. It's an excellent shop. I recommend them very highly. So if you're a research company or a consultant and you're looking for a partner that can help you get projects done, extend your capabilities, Insight Sutras is a good place to start. So check them out, insightsutras.com. Excellent. All right, Pam. So your career is very interesting. It's quite a journey. So
Yeah.
take us on that journey. How'd it go?
Sure. I always say that I'm kind of like a career direction setter and innovator. That's what I love to do. I love to find and make new products, and there's nothing that gives me more joy than being able to see, this physical product, food, coffee, lawnmowers, whatever that I've
Yeah.
worked on, and then actually go see it in a store somewhere. That's just like the coolest thing ever. And so I have done several different things, and I think, kind of wanted to share a little bit about like how I would say I landed in insights. It wasn't the first thing that I did, but it always is how we get here, and it always ends and begins with the consumer. And that's, you know, how it ended up for me is that I spent a good 11 years at Husqvarna, which for anybody who doesn't know, it's a Swedish company that makes outdoor power equipment. So I know more about chainsaws than most women maybe ever, but women my age do for sure. Worked on as a product manager, doing a lot of innovation, road mapping, those sorts of things. Did a little bit of supply chain there. But during that time, that industry is kind of it's a big industry, but it's a small industry in terms of the number of players that they have. So there were two or three key competitors, a bit of an oligopoly. And the way that we thought about product development was really focused on, technical knowledge and engine, prowess in terms of like what that is. We were at one point in time the world's largest producer of two-stroke engines, which for those who don't know, that's the one where
Wow.
you have to mix gas and oil together
Yeah.
to run your most of your handheld products, your chainsaws and trimmers and things like that.
Sure.
And during that time, we were a company who was really growing in this space, and we were focused on our competitors. We were focused on our key strengths and our capabilities in engine development, but we didn't kind of really pay attention to what was happening in the world. And what was happening in the world was that everybody was walking around with a really, really powerful digital device that
Yeah.
had high battery power and long life and those sorts of things. And so we essentially super invested over the course of time that I was there in this massive capability in gas engines, and the market and consumers started to shift to battery. And
Right.
so I spent, 6 or 7 years in product development. I went to supply chain for 2 years at Husqvarna. And when I came back, the market had shifted. And, the technology had advanced. Lithium batteries got super powerful. And our group of, unfortunately, kind of like way of looking at that was like, batteries will never be, they will never be powerful enough to run a lawnmower. Like it's a big energy draw. It's all these things. And we just missed it. We missed the signals. We were really focused on competitors. We were focused on what we were good at, and we weren't paying attention to consumers. And that was a really extremely hard lesson to learn as a product developer. And so like we saw, over the course of that 10 years, the competitive landscape changed, the products that were on the shelf, and 20 hindsight's 2020, looking back on it, all those products and the brands that I worked on really aren't in the market anymore. That consumer product division has kind of gone away and been replaced by some of these other brands and products. So, you know, fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And so I was like, I do not ever want to be in this position again where you miss all of the things that are happening with consumers that may not be happening to your products, your brands, your industry, but outside of it that are affecting behaviors and adoption rates and all these things. And so I was like, I will never again build a strategy that is not built on consumer insights and what is happening with them, both in your industry, adjacent industries, and then skating forward to what is going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years instead of just focusing kind of on 18 months out. That won't happen again. So that is how I have ended up in more consumer insights driven strategies for the better part of the past 10 years or so,
Okay.
leadership roles, and really pulling what I feel like my forte is really making sure that whether it's an insights team or an insights function, that bears out, actionable insights that really, having been a product developer and innovator, know what you need to make good decisions and to find those narrow little insights of like a nugget of something that becomes really, really meaningful and that you can put into a product and into a service and make it really resonate and be long lasting with the consumer of the future.
Yeah, yeah, interesting, very
Yeah.
interesting. And the other interesting thing I pointed this out in the intro is the fact that you've worked across many different industries. So you've got
Yeah.
but you found that this notion of understanding the consumer is common,
Yeah.
needs to be common to all.
Universal truth. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
super. All right, so let's talk a little bit about rock and roll.
Oh, so
So
excited.
I believe you're from the famed Muscle Shoals area.
I am. I'm from a little city called Tuscumbia, Alabama, which is part of the Shoals area. And if fans of your podcast will probably know, Muscle Shoals has a deep, deep history, 60s and 70s, but even today, and I would petition for today, a lot of history of rock and roll fame studios, Muscle Shoals sound studios. There's
Yeah.
literally something in the water of the Tennessee River area that flows through there that lots of famous artists, from Wilson Pickett, Percy Sledge, Aretha Franklin to, Steven Tyler in the past few years. George Michael recorded there in the 80s. It's just a huge, huge history that was literally in my backyard my entire life.
Yeah, yeah, super cool. So let's hear this. So I know that you're really interested in going to concerts and you've
Yeah.
been to some of the best venues. So tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that
Yeah.
experience.
How it kind of like ties in with our rock and roll that our friend Bill learned about me and referred me to you is that, I would say like 2014, 2015 or so, like I started kind of like reconnecting. My son was getting older and I was like reconnecting with, I had always loved to go to concerts. And that was when I started to realize that all of this kind of famous history from the Shoals was still there and was still present. And you mentioned Jason Isbell in the 400 unit are one of my favorite bands. Several of the members are from the Shoals area. And so I grew up
Oh,
kind of in circles, actually went to high school with their drummer, great guy, nicest guy
awesome.
ever named Chad Gamble. And so like at that time, as I was getting to a point in my life where I could do fun things again. My son was getting to where he was going to school and whatnot. That I was like, I started kind of re-finding out about fame and about Muscle Shoals, and it just felt like this, the beautiful mind moment of all these little like connections started to pop up.
Yeah,
Started to really listen to Jason Isbell's music, really connect to the fact that a lot of the things that he talked about and places that he talked about were from the Shoals. They were places that I know about that I've been growing up. And it really was that connection for me to like reconnect to how much I loved music and lyrics and going to live shows. And so it started with a free concert that Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit played here in Charlotte. I'm from Charlotte. It was a festival. I went to it and I was like, man, I love these songs. I love this music. I love live music. I had forgotten how much because it's been too long since I've been, raising a kid that I'd gotten to it. And so it was like, it started kind of with like, all the local independent venues in Charlotte that I wanted to go to. And then it kind of got to the point where I'm like, I really love this band and I want to follow them around. And so that was kind of where the venue file things started to pop up. I was like, well, for me, supporting Shoals area artists, Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit is my favorite, but there are others. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Single Lot Records, which is an independent record label in Florence, Alabama, also part of the Shoals, have an amazing set of artists there too. But I've started to try to find these artists leading with Isbell and the 400 Unit as well as others and just travel around and go see them. And so I've seen Jason Isbell at Red Rocks. I've seen them at Radio City Music Hall. I've seen them at the Ryman. They do a stand at the Ryman every fall in October, and I've gone almost every year for the past 10 years. And this past summer, actually, just got checked the European bucket off my list and saw them at a venue in Brussels, which is really small in the round, cool venue. Just a great time. And for what it does for me, I have so much pride in where I'm from and this history that we have that I feel like when I go to these shows and I buy the merch and I buy the tickets and I go and show up, I feel like I'm supporting a hometown business. Like that's what it feels like is that like these artists and the music industry, like I know not a lot, but I know enough to know that like buying actual physical records, going to shows, like being present, just showing up, it means so much. And that's actually where they make their money. Yes, I
Yeah.
stream them on Spotify, but like I know that that doesn't help them. And so I feel really compelled because of my history with the area to support these artists and to make sure that they know that like, hometown girl, I'm here, man. I'm out here. I'm buying the t-shirt. I'm here for all of it.
That's so amazing. As you know, I'm a musician as well, and
Yeah.
I've got a lot of friends who are musicians, and the refrain is, "Hey, I'm not a musician. I'm in the t-shirt business." Right?
Right. Yeah. 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 But we always visit the merch table. We have to visit the merch tables.
It ain't rock and roll without merch, right? So that's
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
so I'm curious of all the venues you've been to. A two-part question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite, number one? And
Mm.
number two, what is the venue you haven't been to yet that you most covet?
Yeah. I listen, the like favorite one is hard because it's just like research. The answer is it depends, right? But like, I do have to say the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, the Mother Church, like there is just something very special about that. It is not a huge venue. It has a very intimate feeling, but it's kind of like as a music person, it's something that there's something very special about that. And
Right.
I mean, when you are in the Ryman, and for an artist, I've seen several other artists there as well, when just everyone knows the songs and you're singing along, it is just a really, really like, if you're a person who goes to church, like that is the church experience, without the sermon, but the sermon is the music. And so it's like that, it feels very spiritual to me to be in that environment. And I just absolutely love it. And over the years for me, those have been really special concerts because I have converted so many of my friends into like, hey, if you want to go to Nashville, you can go with me, but we have to go to the Ryman. So like, so I've taken so many friends over the years to Jason Isbell and 400 Unit concerts at the Ryman that I have a lot of really imprinted memories there that are really great for me.
I love it. So which one is next on your list? The one that you're coveting?
I would really, really love to go to the Hollywood Bowl. So that's one that I have not been to yet. I actually bought tickets for an Isbell show a couple of years ago. They played out there. Something came up. I had family coming into town and I didn't go. I'm notorious for buying a ticket and then not getting to go to a show. But if I buy the ticket, there's a better chance I'm going to go to the show. And so I ended up not getting to go. So hopefully whether it's them or someone else in the next couple of years, that's one. I've got a few more places out west that I need to get on the list.
Cool. So I have been to the Hollywood Bowl once myself.
Yeah.
Not name dropping here, but
Do
I
it.
I have a friend who is first cousin of the bass player for Metallica. Why am I blanking on his?
Wow. Hatfield?
No, no, he's the singer.
Singer. Yeah, I know. I can see his face, but I can't remember the name.
Third bass player, the guy that I
Welcome to middle age.
related, and he did a documentary on the famous bass player Jaco Pastorius.
Okay.
And so they did a screening at the Hollywood Bowl and had a celebrity performance with all of these musicians who played with Jaco Pastorius in the past.
Incredible.
So
Incredible.
that was really cool. I got to go to the after party, met a couple of my drumming heroes, and it was a
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah, incredible venue for sure.
Yeah, I
So
love that. I love the story, and thank you for confirming that that's the place that I need to go.
and also, to be technical here, I did not name drop because I couldn't remember his name. So
There you go. There you go.
he played for the Suicidal Tendencies. Anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. Somebody's just listening to this and is ready to punch me in the face. That's okay. All right. So what I love, Pam, about both your career journey and your call it your hobby, right? So you've discovered something. You're the like it's like something lit up in you. It's like, okay, I get it. So it feels
Yeah.
like there's some sort of connection there. I'm interested
Yeah.
in thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's, for sure, human behavior. We all love human behavior. That's why we're in insights and why we want to know these things. And yes, we're doing it for to support our businesses and our company's goals and things like that. But I truly, truly love it. And I do think that there is this this crossover of like the feeling and the connection, like I said, like the lighting up of all the things that start to make sense of like, oh, this is a thing for me. This is a thing that makes sense for me. It's not terribly different from when you're trying to build a brand or a product and find a way to connect to a person. And so like I think that was if you try to like parallel from a professional standpoint, that's what it is for me, is being very clear that like there are these connection points that are super meaningful to people. They stay with you for a very long time, and they're the way that you truly like imprint in people's brains, and it becomes meaningful. And social connection and support and community and all of these things, that's what concerts are for me. Like that is the moment, like I say, like you're singing along with everybody and they know the lyrics and they know when the beat drops and they know all the things. And it's just such a beautiful, wonderful moment. And I think for me, it's lesser so because it is, it's your profession and this is my passion. But like when you have those aha moments and you're like speaking with, someone you're interviewing with an IDI or something like that, and you hear them and you see that, you see the recognition on their face, and you can tell that they really care about, you know, the way that they care for their family and how they do that through how they do their laundry process is something, you would not think about it, or like what food they prepare in their home. And it
Sure.
truly becomes those moments of connection that you start to understand, like, oh, this is not just a washing machine. It's not just a refrigerator. It's not just a cup of coffee. There are deeper moments and connections, and what those mean, and how you can show up and support people and help them on their journey. Because I think at the end of the day, we all want people's lives to be better and good and kind and wonderful. And like the way that we can support that with the products and services that we bring to them, the better we know them, the better we can do that.
Yeah, yeah, well said. Well said. I love it. Okay, so now you've been on this journey of really understanding the importance of knowing the consumer. Uh, and so I'm very interested now as you look out into the future.
Yeah.
So much going on in insights, right? So what
So much,
future look
so
like?
much. I have listened to the podcast, obviously, and I've heard a lot of smart responses to this. And I will tell you, mine is maybe not so smart and but super honest. And I don't know, man. Like I just don't know. Like I I think that it's super interesting. Everyone talks about AI. I do think that it's one of those things that's going to become like the internet. It's going to become a thing that we don't remember a time before it happened, but it doesn't feel like it's the forefront of everything we talk about anymore.
Yeah.
And I do think that what I keep, my theme kind of keeps coming back is that this human connection and what is real and what really means something, what is the definition of truth, it's going to be really interesting. And I think that being very human in an AI world is going to be an advantage. And, I live with a Gen Z kid, and I can, hear a lot about like this next generation, which is what I think about a lot. Most of the time, when I'm thinking about consumers, is like what's going to happen next. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty and fear with the younger generation. And so I think these moments of trying to parse between like what is real and what is the simulation, to use the kids' terms, like how do we really be super authentic in all the things that we're doing and how do we pull authentic insights forward, those truths are still going to remain. And I think that the people connection and the human connection becomes even more important. The AI is going to be there. We're all going to use it. We already are. But I think that the awareness of the usage with the younger generation is extremely high, and the skepticism, from what I've seen, is there. And so, like, how do you kind of overcome that and still remain transparent and real in a world where, the younger generation is increasingly skeptical of what's actually real anymore. And so there's an onus on us as insights leaders. I don't know how we're going to figure it out. I don't know what it is, but I think that we have to be very much human in an AI world while using the AI tools to our best use.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say, I mean, we're all trying to figure it out, right? And so the ground is shifting under our feet, right? We're
Yep.
adapting, but we're already here, right? So and the function of insights exists, and so
Yep.
just we're adapting to a new reality. And
Yep.
that to me feels not as worrisome as you mentioned having a Gen Z kid.
Yeah.
I've got a 15, 16, and a 22-year old,
Yeah.
and 21-year-old, and
Yeah.
scared. I mean, so
Yeah.
if you're 16 years old, like he's going to be a senior in high school. It's like, hey, I was planning to study this, but is that even gonna
Right.
thing?
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
doesn't know. He just doesn't.
Yeah. And
So
I think for us to know as researchers and as insights professionals that uncertainty and that concern is there. That's super important for us because that is, this generation that follows will be like, Gen Xers like myself, the internet kind of became a thing maybe in high school, but definitely in college. And like it didn't feel monumentally in its shift and its change at that point in time, but
yeah,
we can't think about it. I can't think about life without it today and how disruptive it is if it's not there, but I also don't think about it every day. And I think that's way that like AI becomes one of those things like how does this generation, I don't think that I had a lot of concerns and wasn't really worried about the internet taking over my life like this generation kind of there seems to be something there. I think it's very much our responsibility to understand those motivators, this acceptance and all these things so that we can plan for that they feel very genuine and supported and, transparent again in all the things that they come in contact with in the future.
yeah, agreed. Cool. All right, so let's shift to media.
Yeah.
And just before I do that, I need to say it's Robert Trujillo who is the bass player for
You
Metallica.
just need a minute. You just need a minute. I knew that too.
Pastorius documentary. He is my friend's first cousin, so there we
Amazing.
go. I met him.
Amazing.
It's really neat.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay. All right. So Pam, you mentioned the internet, right?
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
this podcast, it's all media, right? So
Right.
no matter what, we're all consuming media. It's there all the time, but
Yeah.
we can be pretty choiceful, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know what's earning your time for insight, inspiration, enjoyment. Big broad question.
Yeah, I am a hardcore Instagrammer. That is my jam.
Uh,
So I'm spend more time than I should on Instagram. That's my connection with my people. That's my news outlet. I do all the things. But I'm also a really, really avid old school reader and audiobook listener.
yeah,
And so that is probably my primary source for getting anything that's kind of in the nonfiction realm, we'll say. But like I love, 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 to read. I've always been a long time reader. And after many, many years of people trying to convince me, I finally switched over to audiobooks a few years ago, and it has skyrocketed my content consumption. And then, it's been a little lower this year because I've gone back to music, man. Like I'm back in the music, and just it brings me joy. So yeah, those are my main things. I spend if you were to look the phone app usage, it's going to be Libby Audiobooks, which is your local library, which I'm a big fan of supporting your local libraries.
yeah,
It's my Libby app and it's Instagram. Those are my big ones.
yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, I have to put in a slight plug here. I do play in a country band, uh,
That's
and
right.
so check him out on Instagram. Give us a follow. It's called
I
John Fallow and his Daggers. So
I listen, I will absolutely. I love local and under the radar bands. That's my jams. Like growing but great music and musicians. Yeah.
all right. So Pam, you mentioned you have listened to an episode of this podcast.
Yeah.
So you know what's coming. And I know you're a big music
I
fan, but you got to narrow it down, right?
do. I
Uh,
do.
so you're stranded on a desert island. You have three albums of your choosing to keep you company for the rest of your days. What are
All right. You know that this is the hardest question. Everyone always says this on the podcast for sure. And thankfully, I had some time to think about it. So I'm going to go number one, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill.
they? Hey, a
As
classic. Yeah.
no self-respecting Gen X woman could not have some scream singing music for the rest of her days.
For
So
sure.
that is absolutely one. And then I was listening, and someone on your podcast that I listened to was brilliant and thought of the fact of getting a double album. So I was like, I got to sneak one of those in there.
Oh,
So Speaker Box, The Love Below by Outkast is my second one.
wow. Interesting.
Because as a concert goer, I'm also a dancer. There's no way that I could survive without something to shake my shoulders to. Um, and then last but not least, I bet you could guess one of them is Jason Isbell in the 400 unit. Picking which one was the hard one for me, but I'm going to go with the Nashville Sound. It's just one of those that I think it's a 2017 album, beautifully done. A lot of, beautiful music as well as lyrics, hit after hit after hit that I absolutely love. So I would take all of the Isbell albums if I could, but if I can only have one in my set of three, that's gives me the variety that I need. That one would keep me going.
Yeah, that's quite a mix. That's quite a
That's what
mix.
you got to do for the rest of your days. That's a long time, Matt. You got to have an eclectic range there.
That's right. Excellent. I love it. You know what I would love even more, Pam, is if we find ourselves in the same town, and hey, we go to a show
Yes.
together, whatever that may be.
I would love that. And actually, when I'm going to look up your band and see where you're playing, and maybe I'll be able to swing by and come see you play. That would be incredible. I will add it to my venue file bucket list.
Oh my God, that would be so great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Until then, Pam, let's definitely stay in touch and rock and roll.
Yeah. Rock and roll, babe. Love it.